quick follow-up for you. How would you characterize your meeting with Jerry yesterday? Was it talking a lot about you in a fifth season? Was that a brief part of it? It was like, hey, what are you looking for? What do we need to do here?
It was a long meeting. I think we went probably a little bit past 3 hours. We talked about a number of topics. The first topic was obviously the disappointment of the ending of the season. Went through all the layers of that. Then we talked about pretty much everything in the football program.
So it was more looking forward and just what happened and then what initially.
Yeah, I think it. We went the whole course. Went back through things that we felt may have factored, and like I said, the disappointment component had a lot of layers to it. So we went through all those layers, and then we talked about personnel and coaches and everything involved. So business affairs, and so like I said, it was a long, productive conversation.
I know a lot of veteran coaches in your position feel it's important not to go into a final year to want an extension. Can you talk about working without an extension in this final year and any complications?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I've been asked this for 20 years or ever how long those questions pertain. I've never talked about a player's contract, coach's contract. I'm not going to start today, but I will say I am very confident in the direction, and I like where we are, as far as moving forward. So I'm very confident where I am.
Clarence, before we start talking, can you talk about what the last few days have been like, and for you and your family with the uncertainty, if you felt there was some uncertainty regarding your future, and is there a sense of relief, focus? Where are you now mentally going forward?
Professionally, this is what I do. And it's tough, no doubt about it. I think when you have the opportunity to sit down and talk to every player, every coach, that's what Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday was, and then really shifted from the player exit interviews right up to, the conversation with Jerry. To say it's not emotional would, of course it is. I think it's being Captain Obvious. But yeah, the family part of it is the only part that concerns me. Everything else is, I have great confidence in, who I am as a man and who I am as a coach. But the personal part of it is a challenge.
Just going forward, what's the mindset? Obviously you refocus this relief on where you are going forward.
I'm focused on the press conference right now. So, I have a job to do. So, and, obviously I think all of us spend as much time as we can with our family. So nothing's changed for me.
Mike, Todd Archer with ESPN. What needs to change with this team, organization, staff to get past?
Todd, it's still raw right now. I'm still a little bit numb. It doesn't matter what year you're in, the level of success you have. My experience and really my approach has always been, you're going to have changes, you're going to have adjustments, and you're going to have emphasis. And, starting with the emphasis, there's a lot of things that were accomplished. So we want to make sure we can try to build off of those. We're always going to adjust, whether it's staff responsibilities, players responsibilities, scheme, all those things, and and then in changes is really part of that adjustment. How big of a change you need to make. So we're just getting started.
What's the biggest regret from what happened on Sunday?
Biggest regret? Well, not winning the game. But yeah, we haven't. The coaches have done their evaluations, and I got those last night. So I'm still working through it, and I've had some conversations. I'm going to a meeting from here. But yeah, I think the disappointment is just not playing to your standard of play. And you go through the whole regular season, you establish a standard of play, a standard of productivity, approach, and all those things. And one team played to their standard, and the other didn't. And unfortunately, we didn't. So I'm very disappointed that in our performance, and just not playing to our standard.
Joe. Joe Trahan, WFA TV. Mike, because the performance was so far below expectations, and you talked that you got reports from coaches and everything, do you try and tweak the way you evaluate it because it was so far below what you expected? Are there any things that you could do different in your evaluation process to try and get to the bottom of what happened?
I'm not sure what you're talking.
You have a certain way that you
yeah.
evaluate any game.
Yeah.
Do you think, hey, listen, because that was so far below or so out of the ordinary for what you would expect, do you think about trying to tweak the way you evaluate it?
You know, I look at evaluation process because I think the biggest thing is, you know, the way, you know, when you build a football program, from my approach is, you know, you have education, how are you going to do it, and then what you're going to do is the application of it, and then you got to have a healthy, strong, well-oiled evaluation process, and from that you have things that you put buckets in. So, and those buckets, you know, have goals and statistical, filters that give you direction and make sure you're looking at. Statistics don't tell the whole story, so that's not what I'm saying here. But I think it clearly gives you a light to shine on and make sure you lock into those things. And the hard part about coming in here right now is, you know, there's a tremendous amount of emotion, you know, in all of us right now. And, you know, you have to get the emotion out of that to have clarity in your substance of how you're going to move forward. You got to learn from it, and then how you're going to grow. So then you got to swing back around. Now you got to educate again. Then you got to apply it, and that's, you know, that's a process. So the evaluation process that we'll go through is, I mean, I guess you would say it's tweaked because you're applying it to different people. I mean, it's never the same. I guess to answer your question. And
then just a quick follow up. Will you go back to the Bills game, to the 49ers game, to try and find common denominators for that kind of, you know, performance from your team as you move forward to look for answers?
No, absolutely, and that's, you know, and that's the insight that, you know, you're always is always part of your evaluation. No, absolutely, the negatives in those games are definitely at the forefront of, you know, what we got to be better at.
John Michaud of The Athletic. Mike, obviously the fan base is really frustrated. What is your message to them about, you know, moving forward, why this team can eventually have that playoff success?
Well, I mean, you know, we have an unbelievable fan base, and they should be frustrated. We're extremely disappointed for them, disappointed in our performance. But my message would be this: we have established a championship program. It's just not the world championship yet. We know how to win. We know how to train to win. We have the right people, but we have not crossed the threshold of winning playoff games. And it's extremely disappointing to be sitting here talking about it. But you know, I know how to win, and we will get over that threshold. I have total confidence in it, and that's why I'm standing here today.
And then with the trajectory you had at Green Bay and winning the Super Bowl in year 5, do you see this program that you've built here being on a similar path?
Yes. There you go. Thanks, John. But didn't expect a layup today, that's for sure. I think you build a program and you continue to grow from it. But the reality of it is you have to go through the tough questions and make sure you have answers. And the reality of it is this team's going to change. And we're going to have changes. It happens every year. You know, just start with your roster. So, I mean, 25% of our players will be different than what they were this year. And that's, you know, and frankly, that's part of the disappointment because, you know, I thought we had an unbelievable team. You know, I love the way these guys work, their connection and belief in one another. They're very coachable. I mean, when you kick them in the ass, they responded, and you know, and they love one another. They love one another, and I think that's important. So you know, the chemistry, and so there's so many good things, but we clearly came up a lot shorter than we anticipated.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How difficult were those exit meetings